Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mid Morning. We've all heard the success stories of the Golden Triangle Link. They brought in large businesses, some the largest in the state at the time, but there is also a segment of the link that focuses on existing businesses and helping them prosper. All right, joining me now at the table from the link, there we go, that's the way you do it, is Betsy Young. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
And Betsy, kind of talk about this emphasis that the link has put on existing businesses and looking for things that will help them grow.
Absolutely. So as you know, many people well know, we had a national consultant in last year, and one of his main recommendations was that we designate a person to solely focus on existing industry. So I've kind of shifted some of my roles, and that is primarily what I'm doing now is just focusing on existing industry and workforce development. So the existing business are really the lifeblood of our community. So while the link does work hard to recruit new industries into the area, we have contracts with Clay, Lowndes, and Oktibbeha counties. We are really trying to put a focus on how can we help the existing industries here, not only to retain, what they're doing now, but also how can they grow. It's something that we've always done, but really this just kind of allows us to put more of an emphasis on that. And I've really been trying to get out into the community, been making phone calls. A lot of people have gotten calls from me, and just trying to visit and sit down and visit with them and say, what are you doing? How are things going? And how can we help?
And I guess one of the really interesting questions so far to me is what kind of feedback are you getting? What are you hearing from some of these businesses as you're making your way around the community?
A lot of the industries who we have good relationships with and who know what the link does, that's a lot easier for them to understand what we're there for and to really get that good feedback. But the ones that we haven't had as much communication with in the past, we're really seeing some great results from that. So my job is to go in and help them figure out, if they are expanding, making everyone understand the incentives that are available. How can we save you money? And that's really kind of what everybody, wants to know, and it hits home. But there are a lot of different incentive programs that people don't understand and don't know about. But anytime a business is adding on, they're expanding, getting new equipment, we can, locally, there are some tax incentives, and then also the state has a number of programs to help with those as well.
And when we talk about these existing businesses, you're talking mom and pop shops. I mean, anywhere from, I'm guessing, maybe a couple hundred employees to maybe 5.
Right, absolutely.
Okay.
So, working, we've got several industries in the area who employ, manufacturing industries who employ about 1,000 people. And then we've got some who are, 10, 15, and smaller. So anything that we can do, it applies across the board. And so the numbers that they see coming back on those incentives obviously will look different the more money you put in, and the more money, the more people you have working. But those apply from, again, mom and pop to big boys.
And I know you're just kind of getting rolling in this role, so I'm going to ask you a question you may not know the answer to. How many of those existing businesses are you working with or trying to work with at this point? Do you know?
I'll be honest, I've actually lost count. It's been that many. No, it's actually been really great. A large majority of the businesses that I have met with, we wind up leaving going, hey, I can help you. So there's been a lot of legwork, after the fact, but seen a lot of good things come from it so far, in every county that we work with. So there have been a lot of people are expanding continually, and we just don't know about it, and they didn't know to ask the question. So that's my goal, is to get out there and make sure they know that we're a phone call away for whatever they need.
And we'll talk about how to contact the link and maybe some workforce development when we come back.
All right, sounds good.
All right, stay with us. All right, welcome back, everyone. Betsy Young with Golden Triangle Development Link joining us here at the table this morning. One thing we were talking about was businesses and how do they get in touch with the link if they have these questions about looking for incentives or how the link can help them?
The easiest way to find our contact information is on our website. It's gtrlink.org. My cell phone number is on there, email, office number. So there are plenty of ways that they can reach us, and happy to call and answer emails, text, phone calls anytime.
Easy way to do it. Now let's talk. The other part of your job is workforce development. Talk about that and how Mississippi has one of the lower workforce participation rates. So you certainly have your job cut out for you. Talk about how you are moving that forward within the link.
So first I'll talk about how we do that with existing industry. There are a lot of workforce training dollars out there. East Mississippi Community College is a wonderful partner, and they provide customized training. So if somebody says, hey, we're getting a new widget in and they need help, training their employees on how to work that, they can provide that, and there are a lot of incentive dollars to go towards it. And then also, with East Mississippi, with Mississippi State, and then also your K-12 programs, nonprofits like Forge. There are a lot of people out there who are working towards bringing up that workforce participation rate, which, as you mentioned, is pretty rough, compared to other states. But really just trying to get into, those schools, K-12 schools, and show people what's out there in their own backyard. And, if you want to be a chef, you don't have to go to Chicago or New York or wherever to be a chef. There are chefs out there in the industrial park. There's all kinds of things that you don't realize, but really just showing what's here, what's available, and how to get there, and what those education paths look like.
Yeah, I remember going to a retreat out at PACCAR and had no clue they had like a cafeteria, a hotel. I mean, like they have everything you need on site there. So
absolutely.
Talk about too, workforce also plays a role in economic development in that industry wants to know they're going to have workers when they come here, right?
They do. So one of the main questions that I ask people when I sit down with our existing industry visits is, A, how many people do you have working? And then where do they come from? So we get zip codes from them that are anonymous, and then that helps us to look and see how far is our workforce coming from. The primary workforce here comes from about 11 counties in 2 states, but it really expands to 37 counties across multiple states. People are coming to the Golden Triangle to work. So that does a number of things, which allows us to know where to market, where to pull from, and where we have weaknesses and shortages.
Great information there. Thank you so much, Betsy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you joining us this morning. All right, in some other news, crafting and fabrics retailer Joann's is set to close all of its locations. The closures to come following the company's auction sale to a new ownership group. The chain filed for bankruptcy twice over the last year with plans to keep some locations open, but now Joann says it will close all of its more than 800 locations. It will end a run of more than 80 years in business. The company opened its first location in Cleveland, Ohio in 1943. Going out of business, sales will be held at all stores. The chain will no longer accept returns and gift cards and will only be valid through this Friday. Joann operates 3 stores in Mississippi, including one in Tupelo. What does a struggling store do when it wants to attract new customers? Often it puts on a sale. And what does a struggling city do when it wants to attract new residents? Well, if the city is Cumberland, Maryland, it offers a bonus with a string attached. Nancy Chen has more.
At the edge of Appalachia in the Allegheny Mountains, the regulars almost always leave Caporelli's Bakery with their hands full.
Thanks, Jim.
Just like they've done for the last 118 years in the city of Cumberland.
That is my grandfather right from the old store, and that's my dad, Gus.
While Dave Caporelli is the 4th generation to man the counter, his dad Gus still pitches in the back. But over time, the city around their bakery has changed. Once Maryland's 2nd largest community, Cumberland was known as the Queen City. Its crown lost its luster, though, as the area's 3 biggest factories all closed within 5 years. What was it like seeing the city change?
It's like a real busy town. And then they started downsizing, one leave, another leave, and we really got hit by it big time.
Can I talk to you just a second?
CBS News was here in 1978 when the tire factory began laying off employees.
Are you going to be affected by the layoffs at all?
No, I don't think so.
It's only going to be a small group.
Unfortunately, they were wrong. Soon, the entire plant shuttered. As companies left town, people did as well. In 1940, the population was nearly 40,000. Today, it's been halved to less than 20. But the city is now hoping to turn a page.
Cumberland has always.
Last year, Mayor Ray Morris announced an attention-grabbing offer, up to $20,000 each for 10 people willing to move here.
We were looking for people that were bringing their jobs with them. We were looking for remote workers.
$20,000 is a lot of money to offer up.
That's an amount that could make people's eyes open a little bit.
Cumberland is one of more than 70 places that have paid people to uproot and move in over the past 5 years. Is it radical to pay people to move to a city?
If you're a government and you want to bring people to your area, well, before remote work, you had to recruit businesses that were expanding. It could be difficult.
University of Maryland professor Evan Starr studies payment programs like these.
Now, with remote work, what you can do is try to attract workers directly.
He points to a successful pioneer, Tulsa Remote, which has enticed more than 3,000 participants with grants of $10,000 each. The investment has paid off, raising an additional $11 million in new tax revenue.
They can use that money to spend on schools and other local amenities. They can make a big difference in the area.
Dave Caparelli is looking for a similar boost in Cumberland.
That was probably in the early 50s. It was just a different time, you know.
Seems like it was pretty bustling then.
It was, yeah. And we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Hope too.
But if hope alone won't get it done, the thinking here? Throw in some dough as well. Nancy Chin in Cumberland, Maryland.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We just got finished talking about workforce development and how important that is out in the real world. And one person who is on the front lines is Elise Wilson. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. She is the Director for Career Services and Professional Development at MUW.
Correct.
And really, I'm going to tell you, I think this is an excellent program at the W. And I was either too stupid as a college student to know that it existed, or I just let it pass me on by. But that was a big mistake on my part, because you are connecting students with employers. That's huge.
Correct, yes. So really we focus on two things in our office. One, we want to provide our students with professional development opportunities, so we know when they go out into the workforce, they can be successful and be heads above the rest. And then second, we want to build relationships with employers in our area. We want to leverage those relationships for opportunities for our students, while also adding value back to our community and those organizations.
And one thing, I kind of sat in briefly on one of your lunch and learns you had with area businesses, and getting that feedback from them about what they see in W students when they come either to intern or to work from them is important, because you're able to relay that on to ensure the school's really preparing them for a real world workforce, right?
Correct. And that event was all about, I want for the faculty members and these employer reps to have conversations. What are employers experiencing in the workforce? What issues are there, and what can we do on the classroom side, on the programming side, to mitigate those issues? I'm so proud to tell you that every employer I talk to who has a W grad as an intern, I've never heard bad news about it.
There you go.
So we're very proud of that, and how our faculty prepare our students on the academic side of things.
Now, so let's say John Doe student walks into your office and they say, I'm looking for a job. What is really one of the first things you do to help them?
So the first thing we do is we see if they're on Handshake. Handshake is the #1 college to career platform in the nation, and we use that to connect students with employment opportunities around the nation, really. And we're also sending out employment opportunities to students every Wednesday. We call them W Work Wednesday emails. And so students are constantly getting information to them about local opportunities, internships, and full-time jobs. And that's one of the services that we provide to our employers. So after making sure that student is aware, where do you even go to look for a job, to look for that internship, we also want to make sure that they have a good-looking resume.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Elise Wilson joining me again here at the table, and we're going to finish up what you were kind of talking about before the break, and that was writing a resume. It's a very important skill. Kind of talk about the advice or the guidance you give students when they start on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that students are getting good experiences. We have research that proves that our W students are getting great experiences. The problem in the gap is how do they articulate that onto a piece of paper that they then hand to an employer. And so what we work on is breaking down those experiences. What are the responsibilities, your duties? How do we word that in a clear, concise manner using good action verbs that articulate exactly the transferable skills that students are getting in their job opportunities, and how would those apply in a job situation, a different job situation.
And you host events within the community and for students. You kind of have some of those coming up. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, I would love to. So one is on Monday that we're super excited about. It is the first of our professional development certification series, and we're going to focus on workplace communication. So nationally, we know that communication is a major career readiness skill. It is very important to employers and is also where a large proficiency gap lies. And so we want to make sure that we're teaching our students, how do we communicate in the workplace? How do we answer the phone? How do we write emails appropriately? How do we handle a little bit of conflict management around communication? And so we have that on Monday evening. We're super excited about sharing that with our students. Our staff from the center are teaching it, and we think it's going to be a great beginning to that series.
Absolutely, that's so very important. I've received emails that they're more like text messages.
Right.
But that's not what you want to do within the workplace. And so having those skills is so very important. And it's a good thing to get them out there talking to these professionals. What are your goals moving forward? Maybe not for maybe the rest of the year or something like that. You're a planner, I think. So.
a little bit of one. You could say that. So we have our preferred internship program that we're really focused on building. Our amazing internship coordinator, Allie Glasgow, in the office. She's running with this program and making sure that we get interns, good students in good employer situations so that both the employer and the student have that high quality experience. And then we're making sure that we're training that student on the front end of it. Again, workplace communication. Let's set some goals for the internship, conflict management. So we're growing that number of preferred interns for the summers. I was about to say semester, but not everyone works in semesters. So that's a focus for our summertime. And then in the fall, we really want to focus on getting out to students and letting them know that we're here and all the services we have available to them.
Yeah, that is definitely a year-round wheeled machine. And I know you work in the alumni office, but good workers become good alumni as well. So that's another reason it is, yes, I am an alumni, or alumnus. Yeah, there we go, alumnus. But they also become good alumni, and that's helpful for the university as well. Correct. I guess one other thing in talking about placing students within this career development readiness, do you also go over, we talked about resume, but they also have to do a job interview. Real quickly, do you talk with them about that too?
Yes, we absolutely do. And also the difference between an in-person, face-to-face interview and then what do you do on Zoom? What are some things for Zoom interviews in those virtual settings that are kind of new to us in this post-COVID world? And so we do go into interview prep, also prep for different grad school applications and interviews as well.
Wow, all good information right there. All right, thanks so much, Elise.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, everyone. You see Keith Urban back on the road again, and this is CBS taking a new spin on the search for the next singing star. CBS announcing that 4-time Grammy Award winner Keith Urban will headline the CBS original The Road, a new music competition series from executive producers Blake Shelton, Taylor Sheridan, Lee Metzinger, and David Glasser. The series highlights Urban and Shelton's journey to discover the next big musician, with emerging talents opening for him at music venues across America. At each location, emerging musicians will take the stage as Urban's opening acts before he performs. The audience will have the opportunity to influence which musicians will continue to move on the tour and move on to the next city. The Road is set to premiere this fall. That sounds like a really exciting twist. All right, thanks so much for joining us this morning on Mid Morning. Lots of good stuff. We'll see you back here tomorrow.